I think you already know this, and I wonder if you can speak to this at all. Just the fact that an average woman, so an average looking woman, can go on Hinge, for example, and have so many options. It's insane.
Yeah.
And an average looking man will say also with the other qualifications, maybe it's where they work and things like that, can get base almost no matches.
Yeah. It's
You've heard of
tough.
this. You've seen this.
I've absolutely heard of it. And I don't doubt it. And it's tough because I also know women in that position who can't get any matches, can't get any dates, and who are average, if not above average, and very eligible. And that only, makes it even
That
more
surprises
frustrating.
me. That shocks me a little bit. So you're saying that there's been average women who use Hinge,
yeah,
and they can't get a date. Now, I'd be curious to hear what that means, because I would suspect that she actually, yeah, okay, I kind of think I just figured it out. What's probably happening is her filters are way too tight, whether it's on the app or in her head. She's probably going for only the top of the top guys and feels that she deserves that. And those guys are not attracted to her. Therefore, no dates.
It's tough I want to agree with that because it makes sense. But, I have like one close friend of mine in mind, and like I have spent a lot of time on her Hinge, on her Bumble. I have helped her with her profile, and maybe sometimes she can get matches, but I've helped her swipe and been like, why don't you swipe right on that person? Like, I think
what does she say?
Well, then she'll say okay, and then those people will never match with her. And I did an experiment, and I literally and literally they won't match with her. And I did an experiment where I started swiping right on people that we both agreed it's not, and it wasn't even being picky. It's just like they put literally no effort into their profile. Like sometimes we can't even see what they look like, or they have like the mirror selfie, car selfie is every single picture, and those are the people who liked her, and that's it. And I'm like, well, are you not getting served to the right people? I don't understand. And this is obviously one example, but I know a lot of women who struggle too. And so knowing that and knowing this like percentage and how much better of an experience women tend to have on apps, it makes me so sad for the guys. And what I will say is I'd say 9 out of 10 times I look at a guy's profile, it becomes very clear to me why they're not getting the results that they want.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And that makes sense because think about it, how much more often women are taking pictures of them, posting, writing captions. Women have been doing this in a way on their Instagram profiles for over a decade now. And this is just a different version of that. That being said, that brings a lot of issues too. 9 out of 10 women's profiles I look at, I'm like, okay, this is great if you're trying to make friends on Instagram, not great if you're trying to find a partner, but they have more options.
Well, how do you mean?
I will see girls posting such like aesthetically pleasing photos, holding the coffee, the sunglasses halfway down their face, like standing in front of whatever graffiti on the wall, whatever it is, where it's like, it's not saying anything about you. You just look good. And at the end of the day, like looks do help a little, sometimes a lot, depending on the person. But the point of your profile is to talk about who you are and your person, like show off your personality and share what you're interested in so you can make connections with other people who, see that. And they're like, oh, I also am obsessed with Thai food. I should tell them about this hole in the wall place. Or wait, that's so cool that they went to travel to this place or that they play this sport. I have questions about that. Or
so you're saying that they focus more on the photos than they do the prompts?
And well, then that comes too, where their prompts are just like them trying to be witty and funny and like trying to, write a clever line instead of actually sharing bits of information about themselves.
Yeah, they love coffee in the office.
Yeah, they're like writing Instagram captions in their prompts, and that's not what you should be doing. So that's the problem that I see for the most part with women.
What does that look like? What does that look like? An Instagram caption in the prompts?
Like, I'll make you like, just like, I'll fall for you if you trip me. Just like witty things like that are like,
I understand. Okay.
Just,
got it. Yeah, witty stuff that it's not saying anything about
it's not saying anything about you.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with a really good picture of a woman on an app. I think the only thing is the way that you described it. Yeah, if she's got her glasses halfway down her face and she's like far away in front of some mural, well, who cares? You can't even see what she looks like.
Right. Exactly.
And so that can be a problem as well. Would you agree with this statement? Do you think that when it comes to dating apps that women are too picky?
I think women are too picky on and off of dating apps.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you think that? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that they've gotten increasingly pickier over the years? I mean, I know you're 28, so there's only so much of your adult life you can speak to, but I mean, what do you think?
Define over the years, over the last few years or over the last like 15 years?
Yeah, let's call it the last 10 years.
Last 10 years. Yes, I absolutely think so. And I think dating apps play a major role in that, as does social media. There's always somebody else. What if this person is okay, but the next person is great? Or, this person that I went on a date with from the apps was like, okay, but maybe I'd rather meet somebody in person, so I'm going to hold out. Or this date
Right.
was good, but like maybe the next date, like I didn't get butterflies on this, and that's the feeling I want, whether or not that's even a good thing. So I think it's always like more, more, more.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the book called The Paradox of Choice?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. There you
Yeah,
go.
that's it.
Do you want to explain that to the listeners or should I?
Go for it. You'll do a
Okay.
better job than
Paradox,
me.
really simple. The more choice you have, the harder it is to choose. That's it.
Yeah, I knew.
So,
I'm very long-winded, so I knew you would do a better job at just putting it there.
well, I'm a little bit of both, but I've explained this quite a bit on the podcast too. But for anyone who hasn't heard that, yeah, that's the idea. And with women, they have so much choice that it's just it gets to the point where I don't know. I think we're seeing more women who are single into their 30s and women becoming unhappier and not taking not doing the right things I think they need to do to find a happy relationship and going for such a small pool of men who either A, don't want them or B, just hook up with them and then drop them.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to say, I do believe that a lot of the issues that stem from dating in the past 10 years and why so many more people are single happens to be on the women's side. I think that they are a big issue of why people are not getting together and staying together. Now, of course, you know, guys can do better on their profile and do all that stuff, but really, I feel if women were looking at the goal in mind to find a good partner, to find a good guy, and didn't just focus on the top 20%, they would actually be able to find it. And I'm saying this to you, and I've said this out loud on my social media before, and then I get a bunch of women knocking on my door, being like, or banging on my door, being like, "You're telling us to have lower standards. Why shouldn't we have high standards?" And it's like, listen, everyone should have high standards. You can have the highest standards you want, but it's just a matter of the reality of will you actually be able to get the standard that you're looking for?
Well,
What are your thoughts on some of that?
there's a lot that I want to touch on.
Hit me with
I
it.
want to start with the standards thing, and I hope I don't forget the rest. But I here's my thing about standards. Of course, everybody should have standards. I think people approach standards entirely wrong. It shouldn't be about what college this person went to, what job they have, how much money they make, how tall they are. It should be about how do they treat me? How do I feel when I'm with them? I want somebody that I feel safe with. That's my standard. And if I feel more anxious than before I met them with this person, then that falls below what I'm willing to accept, and that person's not for me.
Real
You
quick,
know,
just to be clear, you're talking about women right now? Are
mostly
you
yes.
talking about
Yes.
men?
I think this is like how women need to
Okay,
change
continue.
this. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the problem is, people have this vision in their heads of what this person's going to look like and, what their life is going to be like and where they're from and how they grew up. And that doesn't mean that they're going to be a personality fit. That doesn't mean that they're going to be somebody who can grow into being your life partner. And so I think, I've seen friends who have been in relationships for maybe like 8, 9, 10 years now where their partner is somebody who would not have fit that mold that they would have created for themselves because they met them earlier on. They weren't thinking about those things, but they met somebody who they really fell in love with and were able to build a real partnership and foundation and future with versus people who are now on dating apps. And it's like, well, because you can filter for these things, those are going to be the things that you decide, like, okay, these are on my checklist and I need to stay within these parameters. And I think everybody's doing themselves a disservice by that. On it
Because I
a lot.
agree. First of all, I just want to say,
Yeah.
I agree.
I think with women being too picky, I don't think that's as big of an issue as is women playing games and following the rules and trying to be hard to get and not, share how they're feeling. I think that's a bigger problem because nobody's actually communicating. Nobody is being open and honest about how they're feeling and what their intentions are. And you end up with just talking to these people who they don't want to respond too quickly, but they're not going to wait until the next day. If you don't confirm the date by 11 a.m., they already have plans for that night. Sorry, they didn't want to wait around for you. Their lives are busy. If you ask them on a date, they say, oh, I'm only free next Wednesday. Does that work for you? When in reality, they're free every single night, but they think that they have to show that they have really busy lives and that makes them more attractive and makes you want to be with them more. And I think that's the bigger problem that we're facing right
Sounds
now.
like you ever heard of the book The Rules?
Yeah.
Have you read it?
I have not.
Okay.
I think it would piss me off a lot.
It's interesting. I think, we don't have to get too deep into it. Guys, The Rules is a book that's like game for women. It's like how women can be able to attract more men. Some things in there are great. Other things are kind of like, I don't think you really need to do that. Kind of like you said. Here's the thing, Ilana. I don't think that most women really understand men. I don't think they understand what men want.
I completely agree with that.
I don't think they understand what guys are attracted to. Like, guys are not going to be attracted to a woman who's like super busy. That's not attractive.
Yeah.
Guys don't care about, what college you went to. They probably don't even care. Most don't even care if you went to college, or how high of a degree, how high of a degree you have, or how high you are on the corporate ladder. They just don't care. It's just not what gets them attracted. What are your thoughts?
I agree. I completely agree, but I don't think that girls understand that. And I think girls just think, they've been fed like they want the chase, so you have to give it to them, but you're also going to get the chase back and you have to chase them, and don't put your cards on the table when I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, like men just like want that genuine connection.
Yeah, totally. Availability. I
Yeah.
think men are more attracted to availability than unavailability. Now, actually, no, I actually literally today I posted a reel that talked exactly about that. It's the reverse. And it's funny because I posted the content, but it was a content I created months ago. So I forgot where the study comes from, but it was some accredited university where they talked about the idea where women will become more attracted to a man who's more unavailable. But it's the opposite. A man will become more unattracted so for example, guy's talking to a woman, super into her. She's like, I'm married. I mean, he still might be attracted to her, but it doesn't turn him on anymore. Where that might actually turn a woman on more to find out he's married or to find out that lots of women like him, right? This idea of social proof. So yeah, it's quite the opposite. Men do like women who are more available.
Yeah. And it's frustrating because women at the end of the day, they, for the most part, all they want is that connection too. They've just been fed all of these misconceptions about how to get there.
Why do you think that is? I mean, you're a woman.
I think a lot of the justification behind it is because if you don't put all your cards on the table too soon, you don't get too emotionally involved, and therefore you don't get as hurt as you could if you were all in from the start. Which I get, but there are better ways to go around that. I think doing the opposite and actually being really open about where you're at and how you feel, the sooner you can do that, the sooner you'll have your answer if that's reciprocated. And the longer you wait to do that, the more likely you're going to get hurt. So
right,
it's tough.
So you're in a relationship.
Correct.
How long have you been dating your guy?
coming up on 2 years in February. So almost a year and a half, or
Okay.
almost over a year and a half. Yeah.
Did you meet on Hinge?
We did.
Okay. That's hilarious and great. It should be that way.
Before we jump ahead, I want to touch on how there are a lot of learnings, I think, from how we met on Hinge. Because, so first of all, we matched in January of 2021. We talked. He asked me on a date.
So you were using Hinge after you got fired.
I was like, you know what?
That's
I have
how
my
good,
feelings
that's how
about the
good it
company,
is.
but I do like at the end of the day, like believe in the product and believe in, the intentions behind it. It was also like, it was the only dating app I ever had success on prior to working there. So I am definitely a Hinge ride or die, even though they broke up with me,
Yeah. I mean, listen, this is not sponsored by Hinge, but I do tell guys, if you're not on Hinge, you're missing out on a lot of opportunities because a lot of women are on there. Anyway.
Yeah. So he messaged me on January 8th. I did not answer. I don't know why. Literally no clue why I didn't answer. He messaged me again on January 18th and said, hey, figured I'd try this again. And I saw that message. And his first message to me that I ignored was, hey, I also love the Jonas Brothers, LOL. Because I had a prompt in my profile about loving the Jonas Brothers. And so
simple.
So simple. And again, I don't know why I didn't answer him the first time, because when he messaged me again and followed up, I immediately responded and I was like, I'm so glad you did. Don't know how I didn't see this before, because I absolutely would have responded to that opening line. And so that's lesson number 1, where you have nothing to lose by following up. Nothing.
Yeah.
And this is something that I would do. I would sometimes go through old matches and see who, I matched with but never struck up a conversation with, or I messaged them, they didn't answer. They messaged me, I didn't answer. I would pop in and be like, so sorry, oh my God, I was in the shower, ... for 4 months. How's it going?
Funny.
Whatever, break the ice, pick it back up.
Yeah.
So I remember that when I saw him and I ended up responding to him, I had texted a mutual friend after we were like chatting for a bit. The conversation's going well, did my little background check. And she was like, Ilana, I literally was like, I'm matched with this guy, Jake. What's his deal? And she goes, Ilana, scroll up in our conversation. We literally had this talk in October. So hilarious. I scroll up.
Okay.
I messaged her about this guy, Jake, in October. She told me he was great, said I should totally message him. I didn't. What I later realized...
Why didn't you?
I have no idea. Not a clue. Don't know.
If you had to say.
Maybe a conversation with somebody else took off at the time, or I went on a date that night that was really good, and I was just like, oh, it's okay. Like,
options.
I think there are so many reasons why somebody won't answer, and at the end of the day, it's not personal, almost ever. But what I'd later realized recently, looking back at that conversation with that mutual friend, when I texted her in October, I had said, going through my old matches, because, not finding anyone good right now in my potentials. I matched with this guy in May. Neither of us ever messaged each other, but I think I want to. So we literally matched in May of 2020. And then I brought up messaging him in October of 2020. And then somehow we rematched in January of 2021. I didn't answer him, and then he followed up. And that is literally what it took for us to get on a date.
Persistence.
Yeah. And I think it's just, so interesting to note that, like, there could be so many people that you've matched with in the past, you had a conversation with, and it didn't go anywhere, or they're sitting in your matches or your like section right now where you just haven't started a conversation, or you let the conversation fade out and, thought it'd be awkward to like double text. And you have literally nothing to lose by taking that chance. And the crazy thing is, like, Jake and I talk about this all the time, where had we ended up talking in October or in May the year before, it wouldn't have worked out, because we weren't actually like really in a place and time in our lives where we could have been all in.
Interesting. Yeah, that goes to show you. I mean, really definitely good to follow up. I tell guys too, if you're ever in a conversation with a woman on the app or any of the apps, and it's, and then I have them text them or get their number, and then there's no response, or she doesn't text them, to then a couple days later just say, hey, are you still interested in connecting sometime?
Yeah, why not? Literally, why not? If they don't answer then take that non-answer as an answer. There's your answer. But you have nothing to lose for that even like 10% chance that like 1 in 10 times somebody will end up responding.
Yeah. Or who knows? She wasn't that serious. She was messaging you on the app, and then that night she had a date, and then she didn't look at it, and
Yeah.
you never know. So you just got to
You
try
never
again.
know. Yep.
Yeah. Man, what a hustle, huh?
Takes a lot of work.
It's like dating apps were supposed to be easier, which they are in a sense, but I think it's also made it harder in so many ways. I don't know. There's two sides to the coin. I think in some ways it's it's awesome how we can just meet so many more people, which allows us to find a better partner for us. But then again, at the same time, the paradox of choice, always thinking that there's something better. Or for guys, it's become harder because women are only going for the top guys, and so then it's just like, oh, dating apps actually did nothing to improve their dating life. So
Yeah. Well, to that point, I think it's important to recognize and call out like there's this I feel like belief in society right now where it's like the dating apps are how you meet people. Like no, they are one way to meet people. Just because dating apps exist doesn't mean that bars don't exist or parties don't or singles events and speed dating like all of these ways that our parents and grandparents met like they still exist. And so I know it can feel scary, especially because like we're not used to doing it now just because of social media and being so glued to our phones. It can feel
yeah,
scary to approach somebody, but that is literally how the rest of the human race did it for ever and ever and ever up
up until
until
like 7 years ago.
literally so recently. And we forget that that's an option or we think it's too scary because it's so unfamiliar. It's like you have nothing to lose. You have to just get out there, put yourself in the position to meet people and practice talking to people, practice striking up a conversation, saying hi, even if it's not to end up on a date, even if it's just to like flex that muscle and get a little more used to it. That way, when you are out and you do see somebody you're interested in, you'll have a little practice under your belt and it'll feel a little less scary.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder if in the next 5 years that there's going to be a shift where people are going to just get a little sick of the apps. I don't know how much more the apps can really evolve.
Yeah.
And then they start going back to it becomes cool to meet people in person again. And maybe there's some company that comes out that makes it easy for people to actually meet in person and comes up with something new. There's always flips in the market no matter
Yeah.
what's happening. It's like
I mean, I hope that will happen.
yeah,
I
I
really
think that'd
do.
be pretty cool. But I agree with you. I think that people need to utilize, especially men, because they don't have as many options. That they need to utilize all different ways of meeting women,
Yeah,
all the things that
completely.
you said, and then try to get the volume that way. Let me ask you this, and some of the time we have left, knowing that you've done so much content for Hinge before, talked about so much stuff, just give us your quick list of things that guys should be doing to get chances at the most success on Hinge or any dating app.
Definitely sending comments instead of likes. If you actually want to talk to somebody, send a comment. Women are way more likely to respond to that or to feel like, oh, this person's putting in effort. I know some people who literally won't respond to likes at all if there's no comment attached because their initial thought is like, oh, well, they didn't put in any effort. I
Okay.
would say make sure your profile is completely filled out. Again, if you don't have those 6 pictures and 3 prompts filled out and your basic info, again, women are going to think they're not putting in effort. Now they're not going to put effort into a relationship. Don't just say hi. Don't say, how was your weekend? Start a conversation about something in their profile. Because again, people, especially women, love to talk about themselves. And if you bring up something in their profile, they're going to take note that you paid attention. And it sucks because, of course, you guys are out there, you're trying really hard and it's not working. Women think that guys don't put in effort. And what they want to see is effort. They want to know that you're going to plan the date a few days in advance and make a reservation and confirm the morning of. Why can't you confirm after 11 a.m.? I don't know, because there are people going around saying that you're not allowed to.
Really?
But yes,
Oh, I have a whole thing on this confirming
it's,
thing. It's insane. But it's the reality,
yeah,
It's
it sucks.
insane that we have to confirm, but it's the reality that we do, or else, yeah, people will be like, they didn't confirm. I'm out.
Yeah. I Jake didn't confirm our first date the day of. I texted him at 5:00. My friends told me, absolutely do not text him. Like, he's going to stand you up. He didn't confirm. Don't you dare go to that restaurant. And they were mad at me for texting him. And then when he responded, they told me I can't even heart his message because that'd be giving him too much warmth when I shouldn't even be giving him the time of day right now. And I'm like,
Oh my
that is so
God.
fucking ridiculous.
That is insane.
And that is the mindset that so many women have. And it's so stupid. It's so frustrating. I'm like, this is why I like wake up and like work every day to try and combat this. But there are a huge group of women out there who are not going to follow through on the date if you don't confirm the morning of. So it's
That
like,
is
it's
just
stupid, but
ridiculous.
just put it
Don't
on your list
heart
of
that.
things you have to do.
Wow.
I hate it.
mean, this is
Crazy.
the reality. This is what I'm
Yeah.
talking about when their standards are so high and that they have allowed themselves to nitpick so much, all because they have either too many options or have this false sense of reality that they deserve better than they can get. It's just mind-blowing. Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, more tips.
Yes. Make sure your filters are set. Your prompts. If what's in your prompt you've seen on someone else's profile, or if it's something where it's like, I'm overly competitive about everything. You know, my like something, we'll get along if you love The Office. Things like that, they are not helping you. In fact, a lot of women, if they see that, they're going to immediately swipe left because they think that, oh, they couldn't even come up with anything, or this doesn't tell me anything about them, or just eye roll. I've seen this a gajillion times. So really actually taking the time to put effort into your profile as if it almost was your resume. You know, you wouldn't send your resume out without descriptions of the jobs that you've had. You wouldn't just put the jobs, you know, that's like just putting pictures and writing one or two words in your prompts or the first thing you can think of. Like, no, you would actually prepare really hard and take a lot of time and effort into that resume, write a good cover letter. It's the same thing. You know, you want to be putting your best foot forward. You want to be sharing things about you that somebody has the opportunity to connect with you on.
Cool. I feel like you didn't mention anything about pictures yet.
You know, I reviewed somebody's profile last week and his first picture was him with a really hot girl. And as a woman, that the question immediately is, oh, is that an ex? B, the question is, oh, well, a lot of women don't think highly of themselves. So I saw that and I'm like, well, I immediately would not even think that you would consider me because the woman standing next to you in that picture is so much more in shape than me, like so much more attractive, like a hot blonde. Like that immediately makes me feel like, oh, I'm not going to be for this person. So I
I've
would
never heard it
definitely
described that way. And I've always told guys to not have pictures of them with anyone, especially women. And that was a really good way of describing it from the female's point of view. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're very in our heads. We compare ourselves a lot to anyone and we're going to overthink literally everything.
Yep.
So you actually suggest to not have photos with anyone?
Yeah, I say no photos with anyone. Yep.
I disagree with that.
Okay, why?
I like to see one photo of you and your friends, your family, whoever it is. These are your people. And to me, I want to know, like, who do you surround yourself with? And I'm not looking to see, personally, I'm really not looking to see if your friends are hotter than you. And I know that that's the fear that, like, you're going to show somebody who's more attractive or you're going to look short next to the tall guy, whatever it is. Like,
And I think that has an effect.
I think it's a completely valid fear, but I don't think it has as much of an effect as you would think. Like, and I also really believe that people are like their happiest, like most genuine selves in when they're with their friends. So I want to see, like, is your smile bigger with them? Like, are these the people who light you up? And I don't know, something about all solo pictures actually rubs me the wrong way.
Interesting. Do you think most women think that way?
The women I've talked to, yes.
It rubs them the wrong way. How? What are they missing?
Do you have friends? Do you have people?
Isn't that implied? I mean, as long as the pictures are good.
You would think.
The pictures are good.
Yeah. I think also, especially with guys, like that picture of you and your friends to me comes off as like the most personality picture of all. Again, like guys take usually way fewer photos than women, so they have fewer photos to choose from. And I often find that they're just putting literally the only photos they have. And they're not usually good photos. They're not photos that are showing me or telling me anything about you. They're just like a photo that your mom took when you were somewhere and she wanted to take a picture of you. Like, I
Well,
think,
I tell guys to do passion shots. So
okay,
whatever their passion is, they should take a picture of it.
I like that. I
So,
support that.
whether you're running a marathon or you're playing guitar or you're cooking
Yes.
or you're reading a
Yes,
book or
absolutely.
whatever, I think that might help
Yes.
instead of necessarily having to have a group picture or something like that.
I agree. If you have like something like that on your profile, yes, that does show and tell me things about you, and I will take
He's
note of
got
that.
some stuff going on. Yeah, I think that's
Exactly.
maybe where I failed to explain. I think that those pictures can imply that
Yeah,
that this person's got a life. He's doing stuff,
I
you
agree
know.
with that. I would also say just quick tips like
Yeah.
don't do black and white photos if you can avoid it. Your first photo should absolutely not have sunglasses on.
Yep, yep, yep.
You don't want to be like turned away or like a photo of your back in front of a mountain. Nobody wants to see the mountain. They want to see you.
Yes.
And really, like, I know some people, especially people who are less confident, and both for men and women, their first photo, especially if they're not confident, like, it'll be like a far off photo in the distance. Like, you want to make it really easy for somebody to see your picture, your first picture, and know what you look like.
Those are great. Those are great. Some of those I didn't really think about or never really heard about before. Especially the one with don't just like but write a comment.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
And
good.
I do polls all the time on my Instagram. My audience is like majority female. So they're all right. Like if you're a woman, vote. If you're a man, vote. And with women, it'll be like 85% would rather receive a comment over a like.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Shows that you care, shows your personality a little bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Guys, check out Ilana's podcast, Seeing Other People. Where can they find it?
Seeing Other People, wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify. Some episodes go up on YouTube, all that. And then Instagram at Seeing Other People and Ilana Dunn on TikTok.
Sweet. We're going to put all that information in the show notes. Ilana, any last words? Thank you so much for being here and doing this.
Thank you for having me. And guys, hang in there. I know it's tough out there. I'm sorry that it's so tough out there. I apologize on behalf of all of the women that have sucked and have just blamed it on the men, because I am very well aware that the women are so responsible for it sucking. As are you guys in some cases, but just hang in there.